A pall still hangs over the glitz of Las Vegas tonight. Dozens remain critically injured, along with the 59 who died after a gunman's assault on a country music concert Sunday night. Investigators say he planned every aspect, even hiding a camera outside his hotel room to keep watch. Kat Wise begins our coverage from Las Vegas.
A day after the deadliest mass shooting in modern history, police and FBI investigators in Las Vegas worked the crime scene.
This individual was premeditated, obviously premeditated. You know, I pray that in these situations that a citizen, because we can't be at all places at all times, that a citizen sees something, says something, and we act on that.
They're still trying to understand the gunman, 64-year-old Stephen Paddock, a retired accountant turned gambler from Mesquite, Nevada. The question of why is paramount.
I can understand if one person has done something to somebody, but this person went out and killed so many people that he didn't know for no reason.
On Sunday night, Paddock poured fire into the crowd of 22,000 people at a country music festival on the Las Vegas Strip. He had stationed himself 32 floors up in the Mandalay Bay and Resort Casino, knocking out windows for sniper perches.
You want to stay still because he's firing at moving objects. That's what he's doing. Anybody laying down, it doesn't mean anything to him. So every time he stops, I get up and I move. Every time it starts, hunker down. And you can just hear the rounds almost like creeping up on you. And it feels like it's like hunting you down.
This mobile phone video from last year shows a tour of the exact room that Paddock used. Police ultimately found him there, dead by his own hand. Overnight, vigils for his victims were held around the country. On the University of Nevada, Las Vegas campus, a moment of silence.
What happened is just like heartbreaking, and it's scary because it could have been us. It could have been anybody.
All told, more than 500 people were wounded, some hit by bullets, some by shrapnel. Others were injured jumping over fences or getting trampled. At the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, trauma surgeon Dr. Jay Coates said they arrived in droves.
Lung contusions, liver, spleen contusions, a number of other injuries, vascular injuries, broken bones, you name it, we saw it last night. It was like a war zone last night.
Police say Paddock stockpiled at least 23 firearms in his hotel room, some with scopes. He also had a pair of so-called bump stocks used to modify weapons and make them fully automatic. At the gunman's home, 19 more guns, explosives, and thousands of rounds of ammunition.
There were more people killed in Las Vegas in this
In Washington
shooting
today, Democrats, including Congressman Mike Thompson of California, opened a new drive for what they call common sense gun laws.
It's also important to note that yesterday's mass murder marks the 272nd time that we've experienced a mass shooting this year. Things are absolutely out of control.
On the Republican side, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said discussions of gun violence should wait until the investigation in Las Vegas is over. House Speaker Paul Ryan focused on mental health issues.
I think it's important that as we see the dust settle and we see what was behind some of these tragedies, that mental health reform is a critical ingredient to making sure that we can try and prevent some of these things from happening.
President Trump weighed in on the shooter as he left the White House on his way to Puerto Rico.
He was a sick man, a demented man, a lot of problems, I guess, and we're looking into him very, very seriously, but we're dealing with a very, very sick individual, and we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by.
The president will be in Las Vegas tomorrow and is expected to meet with first responders and victims. Meanwhile, hospitals around the area continue to care for the wounded. Earlier today, I spoke with Dr. John Fildes, medical director of the UMC Trauma Unit. I began by asking him to describe the scene late Sunday night into early Monday morning.
Well, as the shots were being fired, we were notified, and the hospital went on disaster drill. The first wave came in, and they were mostly delivered by EMS units. We got them all into bed. We started treating them. We started to get them into the operating rooms, to the ICUs, and so forth. And then the second wave came, and that was largely in private vehicles.
What kind of injuries were you seeing?
Mostly gunshot wounds. Then we saw a number of patients who were injured fleeing the scene. So we saw some pedestrians that were hit by cars. We saw some people who had fallen. We saw some people who had been trampled.
How do you view these things and kind of your sense of how many you were going to get in?
Well, we anticipated a large number of patients, and we didn't know how severely they would be injured. The science of disaster medicine tells us that the people that are going to die will largely die on the scene. Many people will be walking wounded and will flee the scene, and then there'll be a smaller number of critical injuries. You know, the night of the incident, I went through the room and we had about 30 or 40 people on stretchers, and I went around to every one of them and I talked to them and examined them and spoke to them. And the ones that were awake and alert were even holding pressure on their own wounds, and they were just telling me that it's okay for me to go take care of the sick ones.
What did you make of that?
Oh, that's just tremendous resilience. And the people were really selfless, and the community responded.
What does the road to recovery look like for the patients here, but especially those that are the most severely injured?
Those patients will have temporary disabilities that'll have to be attended to, and some of them will have permanent disabilities. And you know, we try to channel those patients into rehabilitation programs where they can get physical therapy and occupational training and post-traumatic stress management. And those patients typically do quite well.
But we're talking a matter of certainly months, perhaps even years.
It's not uncommon that patients spend up to 6 months trying to recover and restore their strength and abilities to go back to work.
How are you and your colleagues coping?
Well, we're all really tired. But as you walk around, you see this tremendous sense of pride that everybody has in what we've done. And, you know, we're just glad that we could be there. I mean, people never want to go to a trauma center until they have to go to one, and we're just glad we could be here.
That was Kat Wise reporting from Las Vegas.